Kind of nervous.
Congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Do you, Ken Pingree, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, that you will faithfully and impartially, and to the best of your ability, discharge all the duties of the office of the Carroll County Sheriff in Carroll County, Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Felt like you was getting married again.
Kind of.
I had him do this on Wednesday.
Oh,
because-
okay.
But, I have, yep.
Thanks, Neil.
Signature of official.
Yeah, and then you would notarize
Yeah.
mine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. There's a blue pen.
First.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, congratulations. Next order of business, for those who are staying, is for the conference board. So we're going to start a conference board meeting, but just on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, welcome aboard. We're looking forward to having you as sheriff. I want to thank Doug again for his many years of service.
Thank you. And while I got the chance, I'd like to introduce our newest deputy. He starts today, Andrew Smaldone. Welcome. His uniforms are on the way. Haven't showed up yet. Undercover.
Undercover, Andrew. Undercover, Andrew. Welcome, Andrew.
Smaldone. Married Emma Berger, Jim Berger's daughter. Okay.
Oh, okay, sure. We won't hold that against you.
That's all right. Vehicle bids for that?
We'll have to, we have to do the assessment.
Okay.
And that won't take long.
All right. Starting, if you would like, please join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Before we actually have our Board of Supervisor meeting, we're going to have a conference board meeting. So we're going to start that first, and there are some members here for that. But we need to contact the others by phone, by conference call. It'll be a rather short meeting. And then you're going to go ahead with we'll open our meeting and have your bids for the sheriff's car. Okay? Okay.
Sure.
Good morning, Renee. Neil Bach here. We're just starting the conference call. I'm going to put you on hold and continue the calling. I've got 3 more members to call, okay? Okay, hang on.
At the same time, I don't know if we can conference or not.
Hi, Jeremy, Neil Bach. Hello, Jeremy, Neil Bach from the Conference Board. We're just calling to get you on a conference call. We're gonna go to the next call.
Bless you. If that's who that is, I just don't recognize her.
That didn't work. Renee, you still there? Okay, we got some more members trying to connect. Hang on, please.
With Renee by phone, I think that should give us a
As long
quorum.
as we got two.
We got quorum with Renee.
Yeah. Right?
It's just the mayors won't have a vote.
Mayors will be out.
Yeah, the mayors will be out, but we have quorum.
Number busy. I think we're gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
Got it. Renee? I'm gonna try one more number and then we're gonna go with the meeting here. Hang on. I got an answering machine and busy telling on two other numbers just for information here. Now we're trying Russ Axel.
It's a survey, ISAC survey about the ambulance service.
Renee? I'm gonna put you on speakerphone. You're the only party we're actually able to reach, so welcome to the meeting here.
Okay.
Okay, Renee? Renee?
Yes.
Okay. The conference board is now in order. We have a quorum. Cindy, you want to take roll call? Or- First of all, the Board of Supervisors are all present. Renee Schoen is available for conference call. Harvey Dales, and,
John Sampson.
okay. Okay, we do have a quorum. So, first thing on the conference board meeting is to approve the agenda. We have a rather brief agenda. And is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved to approve the agenda. Is there a second to that?
I'll second
And we have a second. So, it's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor of that, say aye.
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 Okay, motion approved. Next, we're going to have a public hearing of the assessor's budget, and the situation is that the former assessor did not have the budget published. A longing has to be published at a certain time before the public hearing. That minimum requirement was not met, so we needed to republish the budget and conduct a second public hearing. So this is our second public hearing of the budget in order that we have it done according to law. Are there any, so at 9:10 a.m., I'm going to open the public hearing for the assessor's 2016-2017 budget. We've all discussed it. Has there been any written comments to it that you received? Are there any comments here from any of the members concerning the budget? Yes, Virginia?
Was there any comments at that first public hearing concerning it, the budget?
In what respect, Virginia?
Well, you said we discussed it.
Oh, yeah, there was discussion, there's quite a bit of discussion on the budget, and then we had a meeting downstairs, and we eventually unanimously approved the budget. Yeah, there was discussion. I can't specifically remember any, is there anything anybody want to bring up about the budget that Virginia, as a member of the public, would be interested in? Yes, there was discussion.
There was discussion the night of the meeting. I don't know if there was that much discussion at the hearing, though.
At the public hearing?
Yeah,
Public
public
hearing,
hearing.
there wasn't much.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's kind of a vague answer, Virginia, but thank you for your question. Okay, are there any other comments or questions concerning the assessor's budget?
I just have a question. This is the first I've seen this one today. Does it match everything up from our February meeting, dollar for dollar,
It
no
changes,
changes?
Judy Schreck's, because you had changed it that night.
Okay.
And so I changed it on there to reflect that, so she's
Okay.
getting the $2,500.
Okay.
And then I had to adjust the IFRS and the FICA.
Okay, but all else
But
stays the same?
But the bottom line is still the same.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments concerning for the public hearing of the assessor's budget? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing at about 9:12 a.m. Okay, next, item on the agenda is to approve the budget. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2016-17 budget for the assessor's office.
Okay,
Support, second.
okay. Morning. Yeah, motion's made and seconded to approve the 2016-17 budget for the assessor's office. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the rest of the items on the agenda are just primarily for everybody's information. I thought while we were together, it'd be good to share this information. At the previous meeting, the chairperson, myself, was authorized to sign the Vanguard contract, subject to our review by our county attorney, and we did review it, and he agreed, as well as we did, to move the completion date up to 2021. Vanguard has agreed to do that and agreed to do it at the same cost. They sent us a revised contract, and they did have one wrong number in there, and they're correcting that, and they're going to send us a corrected contract, which we will approve. So that's just for information. Nothing technically is approved, changed, other than the completion date. The dollar amount has remained the same. So that's just a point of information that we did follow up on that motion at the previous meeting. As far as the examining board discussion, I just want to bring everybody up to date on what had happened there. The examining board did meet. They did look at people who were on the list of assessors. They found no suitable candidates, so they did not bring any candidates forth for our board. The conference board needs to make the final decision. Thursday of last week, there was a test given in Fremont County, Iowa, the exam for the assessor's position, and today, people who completed that test, they're going to publish who successfully completed that test on Thursday. And Mike Curtis, who's the chairperson for the examining board, is well aware of that, and so they're gonna request that list either today or real soon. Then they're gonna review it, interview who they feel, and then send us their recommended candidate for our new assessor. So things should be moving along pretty quick again. I understand there are about 9 people who took that test. Some weren't interested in any position, some were. And how many passed it, nobody knows yet, but we should know later today. So that's just information that I wanted to pass along. And then another interesting thing happened on the deputy assessor discussion. Came to my attention Monday afternoon. Brian Teasman, our previous assessor, emailed me and said, hey, I looked at the code and it says that the deputy assessor position becomes null and void once the assessor position becomes vacant for any reason. And with a little help, I found that code section. That's exactly what it said. And I called the Department of Revenue, and basically and then sat down and had a meeting with our auditor, Courtney, and Cindy, who was the deputy assessor, and I says, wait a minute. We've confirmed with the Department of Revenue that the deputy position is null and void. But I think it was the full intention of the conference board when we hired these people that they carry on. So what is the intention is basically it's gonna be business as usual. Cindy is gonna, and Judy are gonna operate the assessor's office. But technically, if anything needs to be signed, that goes to the state, the auditor is the acting assessor at this time. So the auditor is now our acting assessor, and will remain that way until a new assessor is hired. But I don't think Courtney will be over there running the business, but she will be required to sign any technical stuff that goes to the state. So that's not a decision that I made in any respect that Courtney would be the assessor. That's just the way the law reads, and we're just informing everyone that we became alerted to that clause in the law, and we're obeying it, and that's the route we're taking. So those last 3 items are just for information. Is there any questions from anyone on any of those items?
There's no additional compensation for the extra duties, Courtney will have to...
No, she just pleased to do it, right, Courtney?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No compensation changes on anybody's part.
No, that was, that's up to the conference board. I don't anticipate this to be a long-term thing. We anticipate that a new assessor will be hired quite shortly. I don't think Courtney, she's gonna have more responsibility in signing these, but it'll be a shift of responsibility from that office as well. So that was gonna be a short shift of responsibility. Things like that happen in many walks of life and many occupations. It's happening to us here today. So unless the conference board feels differently, we didn't even discuss that at that time, any shift in compensation. So
Neil, is there any timeline as far as when we get that list of applicants, when we have to have somebody hired according to state code, like there was?
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. They have, they can request it, and within 7 days, they need to vet that list. We get it, and within 15 days, I think, we need to make a decision. So within a month, this should all be over with, Marty. And I have the specific list here as far as that timing goes as well. And within 7 days, the examining board needs to get it. Within 15 days after they get the register, they need to make a decision and give a written findings to us, the conference board, and within 7 days of receiving that, we should appoint someone from that list. Okay.
Do you know, are they still planning to have their previously scheduled April test?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That's my understanding. That's April, I think it's April 15th.
16.
Pardon me?
16.
16th, April 16th. That would have been a day early. Okay, yeah.
I do have a question back to item number 4.
Yes, which is the Vanguard contract.
Yes.
Yes.
So are we just holding off on approval of that contract until its receipt? Or are we willing to move forward to authorize the chair to sign that once it's received?
At the previous meeting, we authorized the chairperson to sign it, and with the option, after we have reviewed it, and if this board wants to make a motion to that effect, but I felt like we had approved it at the last
We
meeting.
did approve it the last time?
Yes,
My
and,
memory didn't serve me well.
and as we had visited, and the county attorney also concurred that the change of the completion date would work better if that was changed. And Vanguard agreed to do that with no change of their costs, so I think that's been handled. That's been handled, but it's a good question.
Is that reflected in the minutes? I don't recall that it was, but
Let's check, Mark.
I think it'd be a good idea to do so. Do we have minutes from that February meeting?
I believe I do.
I have a copy here.
If so, I don't see it reflected there.
I have minutes of the February 3rd meeting here.
This is page 2 of that, and then this is the January ones.
The chair asked if there was any other business to address. Theismann presented the contracts with Vanguard for revaluation. The board would like to have the county attorney review the contract before signing. And then we adjourn the meeting.
Point made.
Good catch.
So,
I thought we did with the approval of the county attorney.
you know,
No, because that was the first time we had a chance to review them. It's the first time that Brian turned them over to us to review.
Okay. All right, well, then at this point, and I'm glad it is on the agenda, why don't we
Can I have?
dot that I and cross that
Thank
T?
you.
And have a motion to authorize the chairperson perhaps to sign that revised contract with Vanguard.
So moved. I'll second it. I know the school board has, school board. I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that motion then? Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried. Okay. Any other
Catch.
discussion? This is why we have so many people.
Shall we approve these minutes?
Should be
Just
amended.
asking.
We should make a motion to amend it, and then.
Well, we just
approve it
took
with
the action for this.
We just took the
These
action
minutes haven't
today.
changed.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there a
They
motion
need
to
to be-
approve the
need to be
minutes of the
approved, something like
that.
February
Yeah.
3rd meeting?
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's moved second to approve the minutes of the February 3rd meeting. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor then, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay. Any other business we need to take care of today? Okay.
Move to adjourn conference board.
Okay, it's been moved to adjourn, and that's been seconded. That motion is non-debatable. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried, we're adjourned. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Renee, thank you.
See you, John.
Yes, thanks.
We're disconnecting.
See you,
okay?
Harvey.
Thanks, Harvey.
Thanks, Harvey. Okay, having completed that, I will now call to order the.
I guess I better step up.
I'll now call to order the supervisor meeting here at 9:19. And First is we have is our agenda. There is one change on item number 6. It says county farm septic line discussion. I would like to add the word fence in there, so it says fence and septic. Fence line and septic line discussion. Are there any other changes or deletions to the agenda?
So moved to approve the agenda.
Okay. And is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
And it's moved second to approve agenda with the addition of the word fence line. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, then we have the minutes of the previous meeting of the March 14th meeting. Any additions or corrections to that? I think GIS should have been GPS maybe. On the, is that supposed to be GPS?
I thought that everybody said GIS.
I think it's GPS, global positioning. Is it GPS or GIS to determine the location of the, we're talking about the location of the septic outlet?
Oh.
It's my understanding it should have been GP.
I think it is GPS.
It is GPS, so
Yeah.
for location point.
Yeah. That's a global positioning rather than global information systems. Okay, so I think we should change GIS to GPS. Any other changes to the minutes?
If there are no more changes, I'll make the motion to approve these minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes with that small change. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Let's move on to the Sheriff's Department. Let's have our first board meeting with our new sheriff. And you have some car bids for us.
Yeah, I submitted car bids. We need to trade that 2011 Dodge Ram pickup I've been driving. It's got about 100,000 miles on it. So about a month ago, I submitted bids to all the dealerships. I only received 2 bids back, one from Whitrock Motor Company and one from Champion Ford. The trade, or the difference after trade, for a Dodge Durango, which we bid an SUV, was $13,389.
2001.
$13,389 for trade difference. And the trade difference on an Explorer at Champion Ford was $11,591.
Okay. Both of them met your specs, obviously?
Yes.
Okay.
The Dodge was the what, a Ram?
Durango.
Goes to Durango.
So I'd like permission to order the Explorer.
Okay. Was there any other differences on these that could make the one more valuable than the other? Any features that make it better trade-in or mileage differences that would make it?
No,
more
I
economic?
specifically bid police packages on each one of them, so they come with different mounting brackets, heavier suspension, all that stuff, so.
Okay.
Pretty much they're oranges.
Okay, very good.
And then, Ken, on that, as far as mounting the lights and that'll be additional on top of that then?
Absolutely,
We'll have
yes,
to
I'm
go
taking
through
bids for
Ames.
that right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
is there any reason that you went with a SUV as opposed to a pickup again, or just curious?
Actually, the way this is set up, I'm planning on driving Doug's Explorer for a while, and an SUV, the smaller type like the Explorer, Durango actually makes a better patrol car for a road deputy than pickup does.
Okay.
As far as, storage and stuff like that, everything's enclosed and they're a little more nimble.
There's probably some cost savings there too as well, I would guess, or are they
Absolutely.
pretty much the same?
The old Dodge held its value pretty well. So,
What's delivery time?
I haven't placed an order yet.
Okay, but did they tell you about?
No, I haven't.
All right. Any other questions? Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
I'll make a motion to approve the low bid for Champion Ford for the Ford Explorer for $11,591. Ken, can move forward with that?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the offer from Champion Ford. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, let's vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I will abstain.
Okay, motion carries with Mark abstaining.
Thank you,
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Ken.
Thanks,
Have a good
Ken.
day.
All right,
You too.
Thank you very much.
No blood
All
count.
right.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
See you, Doug.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Okay, it's,
Must be Ken's wife. Must be Ken's wife.
Yes.
oh,
Yeah, that's all.
Dave.
I thought maybe she was with school boards or something.
Morning, Dave.
I think it's my turn.
It is.
Yep.
It is now.
You have to call the seat.
9:30 is it ordinance time, is that the?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Let's start with our 9:30. We're scheduled for 9:30 to have the first reading of the proposed county ordinance number 40. You heard any comments on this, Dave, or?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right, basically, ordinance number 40 is an ordinance to establish a policy for the construction and reconstruction of roadways and bridges on the Carroll County secondary road systems. And the benefit of doing this, it would make us eligible for certain FEMA funding if that situation would arise. Anything else that any member of our board would like to express on this?
Read this weekend, I didn't see any issues with it.
Okay.
Would we set if we approve the first reading, would we set the second reading for next Monday?
I think we'd have to do another 7-day advertisement.
So we'd have to skip a Monday?
Probably. We've got a public notice set for April 4th, I believe.
2
That may
weeks.
be, and we can change that really easy too.
Okay.
Would that be right?
Yeah, that's what I had. I had a question mark if we were gonna do it that day, but.
Well, if you get set up for that, let's do the April 4th. Otherwise, you're gonna have a hard time getting it in the paper, probably.
9:30, yeah, I don't think.
You miss the
Yeah.
days and you're gonna be off your time.
It'll give us ample time.
I'll make a motion that we set the second reading for April 4th.
What time?
9:30.
9:30?
And accept the first reading?
And accept the first reading.
Okay. Gene had moved and
I'll second.
it's been seconded to set to approve the first reading of Carroll County ordinance number 40 and to set the second hearing for April 4th at 9:30 a.m. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay, got that handled. Okay, all right, Dave, we're just gonna continue with your agenda. You got some, where are you gonna start? You got.
Bridge
some-
inspection, got 2 bridge inspection agreements with HGM. They're both, I guess they're kind of small. We basically do our bridge inspection ourselves, except we're not qualified to do fracture criticals. Those are those truss bridges. And I think we've got 8 of those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those on the list. And most of those, in fact, every one of them, they're gonna inspect in May of 2016. They're pretty intensive inspections. They get almost $1,000 a piece, but they crawl all over them. Everything has to be at arm's length, so they have to look at every fracture critical member at arm's length. So they literally crawl along on their hands and knees and climb, and pretty lengthy deal to do it. And, so their price for that is $7,800 to do that.
For all 8?
For all 8. And then they have $300 in addition. It's a not to exceeds, is the $7,800, and they have $300 in addition. Basic cost just above, and that's probably, I'm not even sure what that's for, if that's for their snooper or what it's for, but small add-on to that. I'll just go to the second agreement if that's
Okay.
okay.
$7,800 plus 3.
plus 300. We're required to do an analysis on special haul vehicles. Those are the ready-mix trucks that have that strong arm axle behind and might have a couple more axles, might have as much as many as 7 axles on them. That would be like an SU-7 would be the designation of that, but by December of 2016, we're to have a good portion of those done. We're doing some of them in-house, ones that we've done the analysis on, and there are some that they have done analysis on, HGM, and they would be doing them. They're asking $5,500 to do that on an hourly basis, and this again is a not to exceed.
So, and that's, what is that considered to be, weight limitation?
It is, yeah. Here now.
So they have to
we've got this-
determine the weight limitation on those bridges then,
we've got
correct?
this new truck, and our first truck on those signs, you've all seen those signs, is the first truck. It looks like a single axle, like a farm truck, which is, really designates a single axle truck, but it also designates a tandem or a triple axle truck, just not a semi. It's that type of straight truck, I guess you might call it. And also designates these SHVs, these special haul vehicles. So we're gonna have some bridges that were not posted, that will be posted for a load figure for these special haul vehicles. And the tonnage will be probably higher than, it'll be a little confusing. I'm not just sure how the public's gonna receive it.
So how many bridges are they doing that with? Is that these same bridges?
These 8 bridges?
No, they'll be doing those 8 bridges, but those 8 bridges are mostly posted. Again, this is kind of confusing too. They've got some that are already posted that'll be posted for the ones that are, some with an operating rating greater than 45 tons that won't have to be posted, that they've already done an analysis on, some with less than 45 tons. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 3 more and 2 more down there. So it looks like about, what's that, 5 more under that, 14.
14.
Is this a first time for these special haul vehicles? I don't recall it.
Yeah, they've been around for a while, and we're starting to see more and more of them. And the DOT is actually, we're responsible in the end for bridge inspection. They're the ones that overview us, and they're the ones that gave the directive that these first simpler ones should be done by December of 2016.
So is that a federal requirement or a state requirement?
It would be a federal requirement.
Wow, okay.
And when does this have to be done?
December 16?
December of 2016. There'll be the more complicated bridges, continuous bridge, multi-span bridges. I think they're going to do a research project on our standard bridges, so we'll have that to use, and that'll come on down the line. We're giving a little more leeway for that.
Back to the fracture critical inspections, by any chance did you look back to see what our last agreement, if it is
It's
fairly
pretty
close to
similar
what
to
we're
that.
paying?
Yeah.
I certainly don't recall it, but.
No, it's pretty similar. They're a good outfit.
And we're not doing them every year, are we doing them every 5?
No, we have to do them every 2 years, and
Every
some of the
2.
fracture criticals we do every year, just because they've got issues. We've got 3 of them right now with broken members that they come in and inspect. They do a special inspection on those. It doesn't cost as much, but it's a 2-year thing. Bridge inspection is generally every 2 years. We've got some newer ones. We've got roughly 50 newer bridges that we put in that they extended it to a 4-year inspection, and we do that.
So how many bridges on this special haul are we gonna have to do this? Are these, do they just pick out special routes that where these are all drawn, or?
Every one of them. We'll have to
Every,
look at
so
every
we
one
will
of them.
eventually on every one, so it's
Every
gonna be
one.
another cost that's being mandated.
Some, yes, yeah.
Some of those we'll do in-house, that are pretty simple. There's a factor method that they developed with existing ratings. The ones that we've done in-house or standard bridges, I can do using the factor method. It's pretty simple. These bridges are bridges that they've rated before, so this firm's put their name on the rating, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go into their rating and massage the numbers, because they're going to have to sign to it and attest to it.
So when do we have to have them all completed with this rating?
I think 2020.
This is the first year of that, so.
This is the first year of it. They've been around for a while,
And it's every bridge, every
Every
bridge.
bridge, yeah.
I'd almost, I don't wanna say it, but $5,500 sounds like a bargain almost.
Oh,
I mean, we
Yeah.
got 200 bridges.
Yeah, but they're only getting in on just,
Oh, this is just for the 14 that they're
Yeah.
doing, and we're doing the rest. I take
And
that
was
back.
what, how much, 5,500?
5,500.
They're killing us.
Yeah, and the
I
other
wonder
ones.
who wrote that legislation?
Yeah, I'm wondering who made that truck legal. It's great for the people that run that, the loads that they can haul. Remember the asphalters when they had those trucks?
Sure.
That had 7 axles, but about the only nastier load would be a manure wagon. They're not legal to drive on a bridge, but people do anyway.
As these bridges age, is it safe to say that the rating goes down on those and the restriction goes up?
I'd say that to you.
Safe question or safe comment?
No.
So another question related to that, what happens if a cement truck is in violation? I mean, what is the enforcement? I mean, what?
Happen to get caught by a DOT officer, they get a fine, but
Well, if the bridge went down with them, they're gonna be have to buy a new bridge. Now, my next question, we have to do these special haul permits. Do we have to do those on box culverts?
the analysis. At some point, we're gonna have to do the analysis on all our box culverts too, which is, if they're over 20 feet, if they're a bridge.
Oh, well, most of them
And
are.
That's why we try and make our box culverts less than 20 feet. And,
Well, that's all I'm getting at. It's another reason why we should be pushing more box culverts to small bridges.
a twin 10x10 box culvert, they count that middle separating wall would be over 20 feet from the outside to the outside of the opening.
So they would count that over 20.
That would be a bridge. But we're trying to.
But were you to put a 12 or 14 in, you wouldn't?
No, or 16, no, we would not subject to any of those rules.
Another reason to push them.
Can we put the Dedham Railroad Bridge in there?
And interestingly enough, probably our worst bridges are owned by the railroad. And all of a sudden after, since 1972 is when this came out, we've counted them as our bridges to inspect for all those years, and found out, well, they're not our bridges, they're no longer ours to inspect, so we take a casual look at them, but we don't inspect them, we don't report them anymore, they're not on the national inventory.
Okay. All right, Davis brought us two contracts from HGM. One is to inspect fracture critical bridges, 8 of those, and also to inspect approximately 14 bridges for special haul vehicle ratings. Is there any more discussion on those two contracts?
I'd make a motion to authorize the chair to sign both agreements.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the chairperson to sign the two contracts with HGM regarding our bridges, the fracture critical and the special haul. Any discussion?
Is there any other company that does this?
There are, there's one that does about 70% of all the bridge inspections in the state, Calvin and Burns, out of Des Moines. And this one is probably the next one, highest one. And then there's a smattering of smaller ones. We've used this one. A lot of reason they're not quite as busy as those other guys that are doing most of the work.
That's just it, if we have to have them all done by 2020, we're on a timeline.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
HDM did our last ones too.
Yeah.
They were very satisfactory.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Talk about gravel stockpile proposal.
This one's got 2 copies. See if you can find a second.
Second page in that.
Second page, and if you can't, Neil, we'll just send the original to you.
Okay.
And then make a copy for us. I asked Stratford Gravel for a gravel proposal for the Cruise Pit, which is next to the Packer Pit up in Calhoun County. It's the same location, I believe. It's a different landowner. They've crossed the property line. It's the same pit. Last time we got material there was in 2013. 1913.
Were you around?
No, I've been thinking about that railroad bridge. It was built in 1913. Anyway, it was $3.66 then. They've got a formula that they've used over the years with the construction price index. And that ratio between 2013 and 2016 or 2015, January of 2016, we take that $3.66 to $3.99 a ton. I asked them for 40,000 tons. Up in that neck of the woods right now, we've got gravel at Finley, which we're going to start using out of that. I think we've got close to 50,000 tons at Finley. And so if we would happen to use all of that or most of that up this year, this would be actually mostly for fiscal 17. We could pay for this either in fiscal 16 or fiscal 17, just depending on how our finances are. I think work schedule wise, it's may work out for them to get it done yet in fiscal 16. I'm thinking that maybe we would wait to do a partial payment on it this year, save the budget amendment possibly. We're close to meeting the budget amendment for snow removal, because we're over quite a bit on snow removal, but this would be the same general account category. So if we eliminate this $160,000, hopefully we'll be okay and sneak by without it.
So where do you say this is up where?
Next to Packer Pit.
Next to the Packer Pit.
Yep.
Kind of north of Lanesboro, north and east of Lanesboro, out by the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah.
What's the quality situation on the gravel? And I just think we always need to put more value in the aggregate in the gravel, because the haul is such a expensive part of it that I think we want to be hauling pretty good quality material. What's the quality rating on this gravel?
I think if we don't seem to have that much trouble up in Lanesboro, Sheridan area. You know, you used to live up there.
Yeah.
For some reason or other, the gravel that we haul out of those areas pretty well goes into that quadrant of the county, probably across the top tier. Doesn't get over really Breedaway, but gets pretty well in that quadrant. And because we've got other pits below that we take further south, and it's though it's probably not the best quality gravel that we've got. It's $6, $6.50 now for Hallett's, I think.
Out of Wall Lake.
And out of Wall Lake, and we're $4 for this. This is close to the place that we haul it, so we don't have a excessive amount of haul, and it does seem to work out pretty well in that area in the soil conditions, so it's kind of a dance around, but the quality is acceptable.
Okay.
And it's a B gradation. It's not as high as what we get from, say, Allen's pit, but it's not nearly the money either.
Okay. All right, I just want to be sure we're getting the best buy for our money, even after transportation is factored in.
Yeah.
Because transportation is a big share of the cost for gravel.
We could probably have them bleed off more sand, or their take has been to add rock. They've always been one to add rock. That particular contractor, they like doing that rather than bleeding sand. They don't like wasting any of that. They would rather put rock in and build the gradation that way. And we could do that. Possibly thinking about doing that down Sparks Pit in the future.
Crushing rock.
Crush some rock, bring down some limestone and crush it along with it. That's what Ottoman County did down there. That'll bring it into the $6-7 range probably, something like that.
Speaking of white rock, how's their supply holding up?
It's coming back in. It's just been, there's been a time or two we've just been a little low, but we were using it pretty feverishly there for a while on the cross oils. I think we're doing pretty good. Just beginning to get it. We've only paid for 1,700 tons out of 15,000 so far. Hauled a little bit ourselves, just when we were short.
Okay. Any other questions concerning the engineer's gravel stockpile proposal?
I like the flexibility of how we can pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth something in itself too. You're talking 40,000?
40,000, yeah. That's, let's see.
Put some red dye in it.
I get that.
I knew you would.
Not too much.
Mix it in with the rock.
Yeah.
Not too much, don't want it too red. That'd look fake.
Yeah.
You remember that day that we had government class kids, and we talked about it that day? What's that been, 3 years or so ago? And we went back and they all had to report. I said, what did you learn at the county board of supervisors?
That was it.
Red gravel's good gravel. Yeah.
Could be changing.
I don't know what the
too.
teacher thought that.
It's red gravel and moon dust.
Government at its best.
Oh, boy.
Okay. We have a proposal from the engineer for 40,000 ton of gravel up in Calhoun County, the cruise pit for $3.99 a ton. To be paid for over FY 16 and 17 as we so desire,
I
basically.
think we've got flexibility there, yeah.
I'd make a motion for Dave to move forward with that, pursue that contract.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve this proposal for the 40,000 ton of gravel. Any additional discussion on this motion? Okay, then let's vote. All in favor then, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Oh, let's see here.
Grader quotes.
Grader. This is summary sheet. I, here's the actual three quotes if you want to look at them, pass them around. I got quotes for the top three. They're a 140 M3 all-wheel drive, a 12 M3 all-wheel drive, and a 140 M3 tandem drive. The 140 M3 all-wheel drive, the top one, is the one that we've been purchasing recently. Going across the top there, I can't find any difference between the 140 M3 all-wheel drive and the 140 or the 12 M3 all-wheel drive, except a duration in the horsepower. Weighs a little bit different, but they've equipped it different with the weight. It appears to be the same machine, other than it's detuned in horsepower and torque. As you can see, the horsepower in the M3 all-wheel drive ranges 210 to 272. They've got a VHP, they call it, variable horsepower, that it automatically puts more horsepower to it depending upon what gear you're in. The M3, 12 M3 runs from 189 to 252, roughly 20 horsepower less in top gear. The 140 M3, the tandem drive unit, runs from 200 to 252, or basically the same as the 12. And I'm not sure why they dropped that to 189 in those lower gears. The torque is correspondingly low. It's 920 instead of 1,000, and the fuel consumption is lower. And fuel consumption, less fuel consumption would be savings down the line in fuel, and also for this 3-year fuel program, that may or may not play in there. The selling price for the top line one, the 140 M3, is roughly the same as it was last year. In fact, it's a few dollars less. It's $333,626 this year, and last year it was $333,924. Trade allowance, $63,000 is applied across each machine, and then the balance, or the selling price, is reflected over at the right. The trade value history there in the middle. I didn't get a trade from Track 2 or Mid-Country yet. In talking with the Ziegler rep, they've got a lot of these in stock. He didn't go there, but apparently motor graders are a little soft right now. They've got a lot of trades in stock. So that's why the lower figure, 63.5, though last year they offered us 62,750, and then we came back at them with a counter, and with that counter they put that in the trade to decrease our net. So I'm kind of thinking that the 12 M3, the middle of the two, which is a little less horsepower and a little less money, might be the one to try. I think that's their most popular unit, and we've tried one, physically tried one, and the guys at the time would have actually preferred the 140 M3, which is the higher horsepower unit, the more expensive one, just because of the way it performed. This one will be going to Lanesboro. It's kind of a flat territory up there. If we were to try one, that would be the place to do it rather than a hilly area like Elbert or Dedham, Manning, or Breda, or Coon,
Or anywhere else.
Anywhere else, yeah. And I'm not sure this is maybe the most popular thing, but it's all-wheel drive. It's basically the same machine, except they've detuned it, the way it appears to me. Can't get them to say that, but if you look at the specs, that's everything's the same.
You know, a lot
I
of,
was looking at there, I seen everything was the same between, it looked like the time I looked at it.
Yeah, and, you know, weights, same size of engine, it's been turned down, burns a little less fuel, makes a little less horsepower.
Do they guarantee fuel consumption on this too?
This is that same program that we were talking about before, that they've extended. It's a 5,000-hour program, the way it looks. So, we don't know how this will do, but if we would purchase it, I'd put it in that program.
you know, Dave, if we do run into a horsepower issue with this one, is there any way, a lot of these tractors and heavier equipment anymore, they can change chip in to increase the horsepower? Do you know
They
if
say not. They're
This
not
one?
gonna do that.
Oh, yeah.
It appears to be
Right,
kind of a
Boyd's
marketing
warranty.
game, really. If I heard right, I think they're selling about 70% of them, of the all-wheel drive ones are this unit, the 12.
And we don't have any of these? This type?
No, we've got 140s.
40s?
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be
Basically, I
the
think
first
we-
one.
We have one, if we took the decal off, you'd put it.
So you say the guys tried one of these out?
They tried one of them out, and they like the 140 better. I mean, if we're gonna send it to Halbert, we probably better get a 140.
That's what I was gonna say, they tried that one out down there over in the comments I got from a lot of the employees, they didn't like it, didn't have enough power.
No, and since then, that's a tandem drive one, and it has a C7 engine instead of a C9. And the first of the series, they underpowered, and the Lanesboro one is one of them too, though we haven't had the issues with it that we have had with the Halbert one.
How many horsepower does the current Lanesboro Cat have?
That's a good, less than this.
Less than this, so
Less
it'd be an
than this.
upgrade either way.
So it will be an upgrade. Yeah,
Of course, this is $10,000 more than the two-wheel drive. How much of that do we get back on the trade-in, and that's a little tough to predict?
I think we're gonna get a good chunk of that back.
We haven't traded an all-wheel drive back yet, and that's gonna be years before
It's
we
gonna
will.
be years, you know, we may not.
But if you're gonna cut the horsepower, you definitely want that all-wheel drive, I think.
Yeah.
February 29th, we had a discussion on whether to keep an extra machine as opposed to trading it in. Is that involved in this conversation?
Well, that was my big idea, and, but after talking to the mechanics and whatnot, I don't think they don't wanna keep that machine, they want to send it down the road.
Okay.
This particular one, so we might consider doing that again next year?
We might, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially when we get to the good 140 H's, we'll wanna keep those for
So
sure.
the discussion we had previously about perhaps keeping one is off the table in this particular.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think that was wise counsel on their part, probably, they're concerned, I think, we could have some issues with it, and, throw good money after bad, maybe.
Okay.
There's that mile stretch about a mile north of Lanesboro, we definitely need an all-wheel drive for the snow.
Yeah.
You know, we lived forever without them until they came out. Kind of
Yeah.
like farmers, they didn't know what four-wheel drive were, and now they don't know what two-wheel drive is.
No.
It's, but, yeah, there's situations that four-wheel drive really pays off, and if you get part of it back on the trade-in too, it's hard to tell how much.
Well, I don't think they run chains as much.
No, they don't run chains.
And those
you know,
are cheap to buy.
I know, yeah.
And they limit your mobility and your speed, you know, you're not gonna run flat out.
Yeah.
Getting someplace with chains on.
Yeah.
And they'll take a gear away from you for sure.
Yeah, chains are.
Speed-wise.
Expensive and hard on tires too.
And that pretty well held true. We got a little bit of ice, and there was a couple of guys were running chains on their all-wheel drive
Really?
ones. They had one set of chains on, but not everybody.
Okay.
Dave, this is a 2016 or a 2017?
That's a good question. I think.
They, on the
They call it
specs,
by
it
the
said
year.
they call it 2000s. On the specs, they're all called 2000s. On the bottom, it says year, they all say 2010 or something like that. They're all
That's
the
the
same year.
trade-in, isn't it?
That's the trade in there, yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
say, can this one do 60 mile an hour going down the road?
Only the one in a particular area.
Constituents claiming to drive.
Where was that, Marty?
I believe that these would be
Up there in Breeden.
2016s.
That'd be 2016.
They're not gonna, I think they're gonna be shipped in, and there'll be one that will be made here shortly and shipped in. I believe it'll be taken out of stock.
Okay. Take a look at what, just call your attention, look at what trade values have been doing. I mean, look at it from 2014 to 2015.
Yeah.
The machinery market's getting softer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Secondary market just must have fallen completely.
I think, you know, a lot of that was the
They didn't have a
overseas
cash
market
for
too.
clunkers program to take them
Apparently
off the
not.
market.
Look at that, that's $20,000.
Well, those older ones probably don't perform as good as the newer ones.
Right. Would it behoove us to even check with the other two vendors if they have any higher bid than the 63.5?
I think it would just be an effort in
Futility?
utility, yeah.
Or try to sell privately.
That would probably be a bigger effort in utility.
Okay.
We have done that, I think we've done that 2-3 times, but.
I know we always left it open option in case somebody wanted it.
But it's just, it seems to be, and I don't have beyond history, but it seems to be the same story every year. You know, there's quite a difference between those two vendors.
Man, look at that.
Maybe if we had something that was pretty current, you know, a relatively new machine with, say, all-wheel drive, something that they could set on their lot, something that was different.
We've got the goodie out of what we get.
We're trading a 2,000, isn't it?
2,000, yeah. Yeah, and I don't have, well, somewhere in here I might have the hours on that. 13,000.
13,000, yeah.
But are these comparable trade-ins from year to year?
Those were 97s, those other two, so there's 2,000, but yeah, I think they're comparable. There might be a pollution tier difference in them, but they weren't tier 3 or 4 machines.
So it'll just be in next year's budget? They wouldn't come in more this year, the current year would.
We would have it come in this current year and pay for it next year.
17.
That way we would qualify for that fuel program, which possibly could net us some fuel savings money. It may not, if it doesn't go over 4 gallons an hour, that'd be great, because it will be saving money anyway, but they're all kind of fuel hogs. But I guess if you're making 300 horsepower, you're gonna burn a lot of fuel too.
Okay, well, I think you're making the prudent decision on the one. I can understand where somebody's in construction, they're really pushing a lot of really hard dirt around as opposed to gravel, but higher horsepower would be advantageous, but around Lanesboro, pushing gravel on the road, probably not. Snow, once in a while. There'll be a few days you wish you had more horsepower, but not many.
We're not gonna know unless we try one of these how they work out, and a lot of people are trying them, and they seem to be quite satisfied with
Well,
them.
going from 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and more horsepower would be quite an upgrade, no matter how you look at it.
I think if you had one of these last ages that really had a lot of horsepower, and they were really good, those last 3 inches that we had, that might change your decision. You might say, oh, well, maybe I step backwards here, because they really sound like they were quite the machines. But he doesn't. He got an early M.
What he's got now is an early M.
Early M. He's got, that's for the first M series when it was Lanesboro.
Dave, have you guys noticed any difference in the amount of tire wear on these all-wheel drives? Are you going through tires any sooner than what you have with the tandems?
I can't say that we have, Mark, but I haven't addressed that specifically, but nobody said to me that, no. We really get great life out of these Michelin tires, you know, we get like 5,000 hours out of a set of tandem ones. And the tandems are, you know, they're actually chain driven, so it's almost like having a live axle. You know, there's the front one's chained to the rear one, so when they go around a corner, there's a lot of dragging done.
And I didn't look at the specs close enough. Are we still gonna hang our own fenders and lights and everything on this one, or is this gonna be complete?
This one will have its front fenders and rear fenders, but we'll do all the rest of the stuff on it, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're comfortable in, you know, going to that size smaller, we're just based on your recommendation, I think.
No,
So-
it's going to a size bigger, Mark, compared to what we have.
Well, that's true. That's had it.
There you go.
Good call, Lanesboro. I'd make a motion to proceed with the purchase of a new grader.
I'll second that.
12M3 all-wheel drive from Ziegler Cat with the trade-in in a net amount of $263,674. Nope, I'm sorry, 270,000.
250.
Yep.
250.
186.
We'll take the smallest of those three numbers, Mark, which is 250, 186.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
After trade-in, with trade-in, okay. All right, we have a motion
I second it.
and a second to purchase the 12M3 all-wheel drive at the price of $250, $186 with trade from Ziegler. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll call for question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank
Okay,
you.
drains.
Drains, I think I've got 4 of those. This first one, Larry Schultz was in to report a broken tile on drain 18, and he's also concerned about it being shallow and asked to investigate it. Pulled a copy of the original profile out, which you can look at. There's a 12-inch tile. The tile was placed pretty shallow originally. I think when we go out there to work on it, we can investigate it, but this is another one of those interesting ones. It's got a private tile and right in the middle of the county tile, but this one's clear that they did incorporate that in the drainage district.
This one's between Glidden and Coon, down on the pavement.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking.
You know where that's at?
I've been there.
That's impressive.
Where's this at?
That's in section 3 of Union Township,
Just north of Coon Rapids on the pavement.
pretty close to the old 4-way stop.
Yep.
That's the first one. The next one is Dave Baumel, who reported a hole by an intake in the road ditch and a hole in the field. Opened up in drain 52. Let's see the section on that. It looks like they're in section 25. Oh boy. Would that be east or, look here, yes, 25 of east. And the next one is drain 33. They were out there just to fix the tile in section 27 of Sheridan. And there was some concern that the outlet, which is an open ditch in section 26 and is part of the drain, it's circled there in red, may need some cleaning. Quite a bit of water in it at the time, but we could look at this and maybe take a couple of shots and come back with a recommendation, but we're just spending a little money surveying, doing that. So I guess that's what I'd ask for, is to do a little investigation on drain 33 to see if the outlet needs to be cleaned, the open ditch, the survey crew.
Section 26 where?
Section
Sheridan.
7.
Of Sheridan?
Sheridan, yeah.
This Dave Baumover one, is that, what, is there holes in there?
Holes, yeah. Not Prius size either, I hope. Got a couple of those lately.
That's a pretty big drain there.
Yeah.
24.
Where's that out? 26.
We just had one up on that same drain, didn't we, here a while back?
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what, with that one we did anyway.
I thought up in here,
Yeah, we may have, yeah.
Randy Putin's that time, I think.
Section 26, not 27.
I think Randy's was south of there. Oh, maybe not.
I think it was north
Yeah,
there.
you might be right,
Yeah.
Randy.
Yeah. This, is it Dave Baumover or Jim Baumover? On this one.
Say that, I think Becky Davis called it in.
Okay. Okay.
And the last one is Glenn Muggenberg is in to report that it's bubbling up over the tile line in section 5 in the eastern drain 82. Looks like an 8-inch tile line.
Section 5 of. I'll make a motion and we do the repairs and the investigation on 33.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the repairs and inspection on the drains that we just spoke about. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried.
We had the letting last week at Ames for our culverts. Peterson Contractors was the low bid with a bid of $263,603. It's considerably below our rough first estimate, and which I think our budget estimate was 180 apiece, so that would have been 360. We were less than that with the fine-tuned estimate, but I didn't bring that along with me. Rognus was second with a bid of $274,499, and Midwest Contracting was third with a bid of $286,488. And Riley, the last bidder, was $300,395, or $300,395.
So, when you brought these to us before, this is the Kennebec and the Ely one. Yeah, you had separate bids on them of 146, 149,000, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but they lumped them together for the bidding process.
They did.
Okay.
We tied them together for that. These are federal aid dollars that we're spending on, it'll be 80/20 out of our BR account, which we get roughly $210,000 a year. So,
Two, Eagle, isn't it? Is it Eagle?
These are the two we looked at, but we do.
no, those were the local letting. It's pretty
Okay,
confusing.
then.
We did the local letting. This is the DOT letting. We're doing federal funds. One
Okay.
straight south on the township line, straight south of Swan Lake.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
And then
That
one over by
mahogany.
John Ely.
Yeah.
Mahogany.
Right near that, well, we looked at the Kennebec hog unit there too.
Yeah, yeah. Is that mahogany?
Yeah, yeah, I think one's a 16-footer and one of them was an 18-footer, so they're premier bridges, but they're not. So that's good. We've had Peterson.
This was just a bid letting, so this has not been awarded yet.
Not awarded, no, we've got to go
Can't
through,
talk to 'em.
you know, all that stuff will be coming in, the formal end of it, so this is more information than anything. Just to discuss it with them. No. And I think that's it. That's about it.
are we gonna have the 5-year road plan for next meeting, Dave?
I think so, Neil.
Okay.
If I don't get distracted.
Do you want to discuss our visit today out there by Manning?
It's okay, yeah.
What road construction special?
I mean,
I think next week at, just look at my notes here, I think at 10 a.m. we have a public hearing on Cornerstone and a Dave Clucky thing. That won't take long. At 10:30, we have a jail inspector come here. That might take a little while. So we'd have to schedule our 5-year road planning around that. Is that next week, the jail inspector's here, Courtney? He had intended on being here, I think, today or last meeting, but he rescheduled.
yeah, kind of coming down to the wire too, because April's 15th is gonna be here pretty soon, the way it looks. For some reason or another, I always go to the wire with this, and I have no idea why.
What do you have down,
I have
Courtney?
somebody coming for, that Frida Damon's coming from the Manning House Barn at 9:30.
Okay.
I could probably get a hold of her and change that, and we could do the 5-year plan, like at 9.
Okay. That would probably work better, because this is not a 5-minute deal. The 5-year road plan is not.
I'll get a hold of her.
It's the
and
5-year
see if she
plan,
can
not the
come
5-minute plan.
Yeah, I have the jail inspector coming at 10:30.
10:30, okay. Okay, we'll plan on that 9 a.m. then as we get our agenda lined up here.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it does.
Gene and I went down and met with Pucks the other day. Just to, kind of
The shoulder on
the shoulder on the Manning Road, to see if they would have dirt available, and the short answer is they do have dirt available. And we're going to look into using it, maybe somewhat like we did on that Litterdale Road. There could be a situation if we get a lot of wet weather and whatnot, we may not have time to do it. We might have to look at some other options, but the dirt's sure close. It's pretty good dirt.
On M64 or?
I heard about this through another person down there, that they were wanting to get rid of some dirt, so we went down and checked out, and there's a big pile of dirt.
Big pile of dirt there,
I
yeah.
mean, and our only cost from them is just cleaning up behind ourselves. I mean, can't ask for anything better there, and that's so close, which would be 500 yards from probably the start of the project.
Yeah.
Dave's biggest concern is if we get wet weather, are we gonna be able to keep doing what we have to do with our trucks, plus get this done? And they do wanna have it done by this fall, because they would like to get the ground down, because they have some major expansion in the plans again.
We'd have to be careful not to make any promises that we would get it done.
And if, I tell you, another thing would be nice if we had side dumps, it'd really work nice on it. So Dave's kind of looking at maybe, and I suggest maybe even going out leasing somewhere, or hiring some trucks, just temporarily, the side dumps or whatever.
So maybe side dumps aren't around anymore. I think you can hire somebody to do it.
Well, that's another option we were talking about, so he's gonna do some of that, but I think you guys need to be aware of what we went and looked at, but I think it's a damn good win for us. We don't have to wind up with any borrow pits buying, and we've had trouble, you can't get anybody to sell property down there, it seems like, because you try to get right away once before, and we wouldn't have to do it right away here.
Yeah.
Is this a shoulder issue that needs to be done?
That was just my question, is I haven't been on M64 for a while, but.
It's really narrow.
It's
And
narrow,
Dave's
yeah.
been wanting to do this since I've been up here, I think.
Yeah.
We just.
Anything we could do
It's
would
like
be
the Willie
good.
project, you can't get the dirt. And this is, they started taking out for that Dollar General down there, where they got the dirt for that. And like I said, then I heard this guy said they want to get rid of more, so I thought Dave and I should go out and visit with him. Tell you what, he was about as nice of a deal to talk to as he could.
Real nice. is, yeah.
I mean, they were happy to think that we might be interested.
So now that dirt's available, this might be an opportune time to do that.
I think opportunity's here.
Okay, well,
We'll kind of scope out how much dirt there is, and we'll do some little surveying to see just about what kind of needs we have based on what right of way we have available, just how far we'd be able to go, we'd be able to put on a 1 foot shoulder in some areas, a 2 foot, or flatten slopes, or just what kind of, see what we could do that way, kind of get some ideas, but that'll take a little survey work, so we know where we're at. I did program it in the 5-year program to do it as a daylighter project with the county crew. We're kind of limited dollar-wise what we can expend on it, but some of it could be maintenance.
okay. All right, well, why don't we follow up on that? And it'd be great if you got a good perspective on how much dirt was there and how much it would take. I don't think a lot of us can have it's hard to get a close judgment on that when you're not in the business
Right.
or an engineer.
I think
I'd be lost.
with a few shots, you know, we can kind of gauge it out and then make a good educated guess to count the cost, I guess, to
Okay.
what it would be.
And about how many miles?
Yeah.
3 miles.
There's 3 miles there, you know. Even if it got to the point to where we got 1 of the 3 miles done, or 1.5 miles of the 3 miles done, that would be moving in the right direction.
Both
Sure.
sides?
Both sides, yeah.
I would think
Well,
I hope so, yeah.
I would
I think there
think
might be
you'd be able
enough
to
dirt
work.
there to get something on the whole works.
I would think so.
Well, I think it'd be, since the dirt's there and the need is there, it'd be a good time to scope it out and see what the potential is.
Yeah, no, I'm appreciative of the opportunity.
Good, good. The only thing, our trucks came in Tuesday, Monday.
They did, yeah.
Everything, how's that going? I think last time we talked, you'd ordered all the whistles and all the equipment.
Yeah.
That may be the
So it
hydraulic.
shouldn't be just too far out, we should be starting to see some stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
We're getting ready to go.
Okay, good. A little excitement in the shop with them, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I think they're looking forward to the challenge of doing it.
Did they, I know you didn't order the hydraulics, because there's a question how that would all gonna work out. Any judgment on that yet, Dave?
I think we're good with those, and Ron went up and talked to him, and talked to the vendor also. and-
Okay.
And then they've done some Mack trucks with it, and I think he's got it figured out, so he's got all that stuff ordered.
Good, okay. All right. So, anything else for Dave, our engineer?
You wanna do that?
Yeah, let's do the noxious weed thing. That's skip it down there. It's number 5 on the agenda. It's a resolution, 2016-006, destruction of noxious weeds. And we all have it in our
The obnoxious weeds.
packet. And pretty straightforward.
Same as last year, Dave?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved to approve resolution number 2016-006, resolution for the destruction of noxious weeds. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, then let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Paul?
Yes.
Bearden?
Yes.
Schopner?
Yes.
Miners?
Yes.
Dancer?
Yes.
Motion carries. Skip this one.
Did Dave Carroll get in touch with you on that septic line?
Randy did,
Randy.
but by the time I got back to him, he had left, and I didn't get the opportunity to visit with him on
The city's gonna do that, but he thought he might need a tool from you or something, because you got bigger equipment to lift out one of them tile.
it. Uh-huh,
So,
like our excavator maybe.
yeah, he thought you'd have the equipment to do that. See, they may be asking you for your help, and I said I don't need to be the intermediary on that. You two could work that
We
out.
can work that out, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an easement on that or not.
A what?
If there's an easement on that, I don't think there is.
No.
But that's something that someone better take a hold of and probably.
That's
Ren's
number 6
support.
on our agenda, along with the
Okay.
fence line. And Courtney looked and looked and looked in our minutes and couldn't find anything, and we couldn't find anything in our recorder's office either, so.
I do have a set of plans on it, and it did show.
Why don't we talk about that right now? It's number 6 on our agenda. There's 2 things. It's county farm, septic line, and fence line discussion. And I'm already into the septic line discussion already. I think we're all aware of the fact that this is where that's at.
Mhm.
And Courtney, tell them what you did there, looking for some information on that
Well, I looked for it.
septic line.
Started late sixties, went through all the minutes, all the way to early eighties, and found nothing. I couldn't even find it referenced in the minutes, so that's where I was at.
Okay.
So,
What, it's up to the board. I know John feels strongly that there should be, it should be recorded, and better yet, having an easement. And John Renzi, who's the owner, and I agree with that. I think what we should do is have our county attorney work on that, get an easement, or get it recorded and get an easement on it if that's possible.
I think that's a
Definitely.
definite. There's no question about it.
I don't know.
We talked about last meeting, but we wanted Courtney to look in the minutes, see if we can find anything, and there was nothing found.
You said you had a set of plans on it?
Got a set of plans on it, yeah. It's.
Does it have any reference as far as an easement?
No, it's done by Culver Engineering. Shows the work area and all the elevations. It's a really nice set of plans.
Would that be information John would want as far as working on an easement for it?
I think there might be enough in there to give you some locations.
Work something out.
Someone said that Stan Diker had some information on it as well.
Steve
Steve,
Dyke was the one, he brought the plans out. He had the plans
Steve.
out there at the
Okay.
county home. He brought them out, and Becky made a copy of them, and I've got them.
So what you and Steve have is the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got what he has now, so.
Okay.
It seemed that John was interested in having an easement, which is for no cost, but it's very.
In time, that'll be developed, there definitely needs to be an easement.
So as far as the septic line discussion on item 6, it's my feeling that we'd like our county attorney to get something done there.
Yep.
Why don't we have a motion that charges the county attorney to do that?
I'd make that motion to move forward with putting an easement together for the septic line on John Ramsey's property. What section would that be in?
I believe it's 7.
7 of Granite.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to have the county attorney draw up an easement for the county septic line, which is in section 7 of Grant Township, under the John Renzi property currently. Okay, any discussion on that motion? Okay, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, let's talk about the fence line on that. John also called me on Thursday and said he wanted to take the fence out between our properties. And initially, and leave a few posts. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I went out and looked at it, and he said the fence is about 6 foot off. And if you're looking down here, I took this picture, I'm standing on the property by Mallard View is behind me. And if you look-
Looking east?
Looking east, you can see that fence line is over several feet over. So the fence lines are about 6 foot off. But if you look in the plat book, it's a correction section. To account for the roundness of the world, every section can't be square because the world is not flat. This is a correction section, and that's why in the middle of the section it shifts, and that fence line is about 6, 8 foot off from the other one. So they do meet like that. And you look in your plat book, you'll see that, Gene.
You see it when you fly.
That makes sense.
You ever notice?
Before you even said that about moving the fence, I was gonna say we better have some monuments or
So
something.
I would prefer to leave the fence actually after this discovery because good fences make good neighbors. I'm not saying this is a great fence. And he did have an issue. There are a few trees in there.
Is this
Nothing-
looking east, you say?
I'll be down.
Yes, I am.
Well, the correction would be up here though.
How often, how often do they occur?
Well, they adjust the whole, they adjust every piece of land on that, at the end of that section. Look at the acres. You don't see any 40s there, do you?
No.
So,
But usually the corrections are wrong. Well, it is a correction on the west side.
yeah. And, get this in here.
Was Elmer first?
Here's another picture, I don't know if you see that or not, but this picture is the same thing, just back up a little further, and you can see a few trees, there's a mulberry tree in here. And not too much, but we should probably get them cut out of there, I suppose, because they're kind of hanging over on his property, not on ours, so. I would be delighted just to go out there with my chainsaw and take care of that some afternoon soon, it would take me 10 minutes.
What, he said the fence was crooked, is what he said?
Well, he said it was kind of leaning over about 6 foot, it's supposed to. So, I told him it'd be, normally I have a problem taking fences, but this is kind of different. And this tree here, it looks like it's a problem, but it's not. And you can't see it because there's a big brace coming out of there for the power line and everything. So, yeah, I don't know that picture, but anyhow, this even shows where the county home's got a whole bunch of stuff put there, so I would have a place to put the tree if I cut it out of fence. So, anyhow, my recommendation is it's to leave the fence. And-
To leave the whole fence?
Yeah, that'd be my recommendation, and I need to get back to John. I told him it was a decision the board had to make, it wasn't one that I could make myself. So,
Was that the understanding that you had with John as far as the correction?
we didn't talk about correction.
Okay,
He just said he'd like to take the fence out and leave 4 or 5 posts, just for a reference point.
sure.
It's not a fence that, he's not gonna gain very much if the fence comes out.
Yeah.
He probably, I don't think he'd gain, to say he'd gain a row would be stretching it, I think.
I mean, we really can't tell him what he can do with his fence, he can.
His
we can
half.
say, Yeah.
His half, right.
The right hand.
Well,
right
in a way
hand
you
rule.
can, Marty. You have to keep your fence up to the standard of the neighbor's fence, right?
If he wants to tear his half out, he can.
Okay. All right.
There's nothing you can do about that.
And,
No, I think there's been too many to
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying, we can't regulate what he does with his fence. We can do what we want
So-
with our right hand, we can say what we want.
As-
but
so-
On his, we can't tell him.
what Marty and I are talking about is, when you look at a fence, you own the right-hand side, so, if you look at the neighbor, we'd have, that's this side, and he'd have that side wherever the divide is, right?
Yep.
And, so,
So where does that correction come in as far as halfway?
well.
Did it come on our side of the?
Apparently,
That's in
here, I'm looking right down the fence line, and this fence line is over there. So it corrects at the middle of the section.
Okay, so it's kind of,
Mm-hmm.
That's his end of fence.
Which is why our fence is over several feet. And if you go all up and down that road, you'll see the same thing. And everybody's, from section to section, the fence is shifted over
at that point.
for different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the world was flat, we wouldn't have to do that, Dean, but we
Well,
found.
it was once, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Still looking for the
This
Santa
would-
Maria.
The right-hand
So-
wall from here to here
Yeah.
would be his fence.
It's really
This is our
about better
fence here.
fences. That's how they go about
Okay.
better fences, make better
So,
neighbors.
yeah.
I agree with you, Neil.
What's the wishes of the board?
I'd say leave it.
Leave it.
Okay.
I'd say leave it.
There's no motion needed since we're not taking any action, but I'll tell him that was consensus that we would hang on to our fence. Okay. All right. That concludes item number 6, county septic fence line discussion. We'll just need to follow up and get ahold of John, let him know that. Okay. I'm gonna skip down to number 10, DHS security system, because Carroll, you were here, and.
Good morning, Carol.
Morning, how are you?
Good, thanks. How about you?
Good.
Atta
Beautiful
girl.
day.
Yes, it is.
Can't help but be good. We have had an annual discussion about security in the DHS office ever since I've been there.
and kind of go over the security things, features that we want to implement as employees there. And it's gotten so that it's getting more and more difficult to make sure that the staff are secure in the office. With the increase in substance abuse and our transient population, people moving in from other states, we no longer really know people when they come in, which means that we don't know how they're gonna react. We used to be able to do that and recognize people before they actually hit the front desk and maybe take some measures to protect the people up front. In the past, typically it's been the child protective staff who remove children and do abuse investigations that get the brunt of that. But over the past couple of years, that's kind of bled out into regular work for everybody in the office, because we don't know our people. We have a little bit more volatile situations than what we used to. So we've discussed security off and on for quite some time. The thing that has brought this really to the forefront right now is that I'm losing staff in the front office. Before, we had 2 clerical support in the front office. We were able to back each other up. Maybe if there was an issue, run and get a supervisor, that type of thing. I've lost 1 person up there, so we're with 1 person in that office at this point who really is pretty vulnerable as far as people coming in and trying to deal with situations. In addition to that, we have less and less staff in the office that can act as backup. And I'm not sure if all of you know what our office layout is. I don't know that all of you have been in the office to see it. But this is a diagram of the building itself.
Thank you.
Yeah. The support person that's gonna be left alone up there in that office will be sitting at that reception area, which leaves an awful lot of space that is not viewable by her. We've had instances in the past where people have congregated in that outer lobby, caused some disruptions. We're not aware of that until it's gotten too far to really handle it ourselves. We've had people that have come down the stairs and have congregated down in the lower level, which is even more prevalent now when we don't have anybody in that lower level space. We used to be able to kind of monitor that with the case management and other agencies that were in there. And in addition, we have what is on this form as a play area, which is actually a family team meeting where we take families who are having supervised visits with their children, maybe some counseling issues, and that can be pretty volatile at times as well. So what we've gotten has been an estimate for some security in the building, which is the 2nd page. This is from Feld Equipment, who does our fire right now. They came up with this proposal for us, and some of it, we really don't see a need for, but there are some features on here that I think we would have within our budget this year. I think we're sitting pretty well with budget, and I'd like to implement some of these. Most specifically, the camera system. This would be designed to have 2 cameras in the building, one that would focus on people coming into the building so that we could identify anyone going downstairs or congregating in the lobby. The other would be right at the front desk, with a separate monitor back in the back of the building, either at my desk as the supervisor or Mary Jo Rem, who's the service supervisor, so that if the support staff were running into issues, we'd be able to see that. We'd be able to identify things quickly. That would be our primary objective, would be the camera system. Feld Equipment could also do a wired panic button, which wouldn't be any additional cost to our services right now. It would just be the initial installation of that wired system. That would give us the ability to contact someone outside of the office for security purposes. We've always done fairly well with this, handling these kind of things on our own, but like I said, it's gotten a little more difficult over the years to do that.
You don't currently have panic button?
No. No, we do not. No, we do not. We've always had a system internally, that if someone was in trouble, we would send a code over the intercom system. But at this point, at this day and age, people that we don't know come into the office, they do get pretty explosive pretty quickly, and it's not always, you're not always thinking real clearly to dial an intercom or to use the code word. We have a lot of people that cover up front now, especially with only 1 support person. She's gonna have to rely on everybody else in the office to cover breaks and lunches and vacation and sick. And those people aren't necessarily trained in those kind of things and probably would not be as efficient as Connie is. in handling those kind of situations. So I think it's an appropriate time to at least investigate something like that. As I said, I think we have it I know we have it in the budget for this year to do that, but I didn't want to take that kind of a step without checking with the board first to see if you had any other alternatives or if there were any issues that you could think that would arise from having a camera system. This would not be something that would be recorded. It would require a camera at those two locations. It would require a very minimal laptop to run the software, and then an iPad type setup for back in the back office, so that something that could be transported from room to room depending on who was there to monitor the situation.
So when it says a video recorder, you said you are not recording?
No, it's my understanding that this bid does not,
Okay. Okay.
have a recorder.
Okay. My experience, when I come in the building, if I have a meeting back here, the receptionist needs to press the button to unlock that door.
We have to physically go out and unlock it. There is no button that will
Okay.
automatically
It
unlock
has to be
it.
unlocked.
So then again, the clerical staff would be there one-on-one with the person unlocking the door.
And then if you have a panic button or two, where does it ring at?
We don't have one, but it would ring, according to
would.
Feld Equipment, it would ring to an off-site security. Actually, it'd be kind of like a.
Like if we had one here, we'd have it ring in the sheriff's
Yes,
office, which is
yes, we would
downstairs.
have-
Where
yes.
would you have yours go to?
Well, that's something I haven't explored yet. You know, we're just getting this budget or getting these bids to try to prepare for something. You know, I'm assuming that it would be city, you know, we would have some city involvement, law enforcement. It's my understanding, and I should have brought Rob along with me to help explain this, that it goes, the button dials into a security system off-site, not even in the community. They have a call list of people that they can call to provide security, and if all else fails, they call the police department. That's my understanding.
Oh, so it would go off-site? Okay.
Kind of like,
It wouldn't be direct.
Like
You'd get a-
lifeline,
you'd get a-
kind of like a lifeline.
You'd get a
Yeah.
switchboard, and then they would dial
Yes.
1, 2, 3, depending.
Yes. Correct.
And then, is it one monitor screen to watch the
Yes.
cameras?
This bid includes a screen for the front desk, which the support staff can look to see. For example, Connie, who is going to be our only support person there, also does all of the child protective work. That's all confidential information, so when she's doing that work, she sits at a desk back behind there, not at the front reception desk.
Okay.
So when that work is being performed, she would also need to see who's coming in the building. Then there would be one tablet type set up that would be mobile enough to move into different offices.
Okay.
So where would you locate those cameras?
I think that the discussion was someplace towards the front, by the front door, so that you could see not only people going down the stairs.
Right in this area?
Yes,
Yep.
not only going down the stairs, but coming into
Sure.
our space. And then another one at the front counter. I
Okay.
would be in hopes that just people knowing that there was a camera in use would deter a lot of the issues that we have. I would hope.
Yeah, you mentioned Mary Jo's office, she's way back here.
She's clear in the back. I was in the back of the building as well. I've recently moved to the office at the very front of the building so
Okay.
that I can hear what's going on up front. That doesn't always work if I'm on the phone, all of the doors are closed for whatever reason for confidentiality. But yes, I've moved my space up front to assist with those shortfalls of staff. But I also travel to other offices as well, so there are days when I am not there and someone else will have to do backup.
So then you've discussed the first two items then, right? The camera system,
Yes.
and
Um,
the other two items?
Professional keypad, you know, we don't see that as a need, that's to get back into our space, and by the time they're back that far, I mean, they're in the building, they're in the space. The card access, our key system right now is doing just fine with the punch lock, and again, that would be, I'm sorry, that third item was door chimes, so that you could hear someone coming in those doors, that there would be an audible ring when somebody came in the outside door and the inside door. I'm not convinced that that's gonna be all that effective. if we have a camera system, we would be able to see. You know, very recently, we've had to post pictures of people, like for child welfare, when we've had multiple threats to CPW workers, not only personal threats, but threats to the office. And we post pictures so that everybody is aware of who they need to look for. Well, by the time they come in the door and get to the front desk, you know, that's a little bit late to start looking and see, oh, do I know this person or don't I? And not that we're gonna catch everybody, but I think that, more importantly, is the one at the front desk, so that I can see, or Mary Jo can see, if a situation has evolved to the point where it's gonna be difficult.
But you know, that chime though, if that person's doing something else and they're not looking at that monitor.
Mhm,
they miss
true.
it.
Somebody could be at the
That's
counter,
Yeah,
and
I
then
mean,
you don't know
If you hear
it.
that chime, you might glance over and look, and if someone's
True.
coming in to see who it is. For-
Yeah, I don't
For
think
that
that's-
kind of
I
money,
think
that
that's
may
probably
not
a
be the
pretty good
worst.
idea.
Yeah. Talking $300.
No, it wasn't real expensive, and
Well, I mean, you know,
It's an
if you
added
got,
feature.
if you got an efficient
I
staff,
agree.
they may be over here doing this, and they're not looking at that monitor,
Sure.
and someone could walk in
And,
and that's.
you know, Connie is not always at the front desk or even in the front area. If there's something else going on in the building, you know, she wouldn't know that someone has come in unless she heard a bell ring, a chime ring. So I wanted to present this to you, let you know that this is what we're thinking of doing, let you know that this is in our budget, DHS budget, which means you'd be able to claim that on the LAE and get some reimbursement back for that. But I just didn't want to take that kind of step without speaking with all of you first. So if you want some time to think about it and get back to me, that would be great. If you want me to get additional bids for this, we use Feld equipment for our security, our fire system anyway. There'd be no additional cost as far as monthly bills that would come as a result of this. It would just be the initial
Yeah,
outlay
okay.
for the equipment.
Other thing is, if you have issues with Bell, they're here locally to service it if there are issues. It's the other thing to look at.
Well, any questions from the board?
I don't have any real reservations in doing it. I don't know if you guys need any more time to really think about it or not. It sounds as though things have escalated enough to where there's enough cause for concern.
Yes.
I certainly want my staff, I mean, that's my priority, is the staff are safe.
Yep.
And we talk about it every year. We do small little measures, and it just seems to be getting increasingly more difficult. So
Yeah,
I
and the
prefer
dollars.
that we have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Well,
And the dollars aren't that great, I'm surprised.
And
I would have no problem going ahead and letting her go ahead and do it.
just commentary, it's a fraction of the cost of what Social Security office has invested out there. It's just unreal.
24 hour, yep.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, look at-
My question is the DHS, do they have to follow the guidelines that when you record it, is that public knowledge?
Well,
Should you record this and because it is public knowledge, if it's underneath the government agency?
We talked about the ramifications of recording, and which is why we kind of went with a bid for not having it recorded, because there is confidential information that occurs in the office, and we need to be really careful with that.
Okay.
The other side of that is if we have a situation that does require us to take some type of action, you know, that would be nice to have that
Have that
recorded.
recorded.
So, you know, we haven't yet committed one way or the other to the recording of it.
But when that happens, then it becomes open to the public.
That's my understanding.
That's how I would think it.
But your cameras are in public areas though, correct?
The cameras are in public
Public
areas.
areas,
yes.
yes.
Right.
So it's not like they're recording something that's happening in a
That's
closed
correct.
door,
In
behind a
office.
closed door.
And none of my staff
I
conduct
just-
interviews.
Just for everybody's protection. I wanted to
Sure.
ask it.
And Richard, it's good you brought it up, but the county itself has a recorded record policy, and it covers the courthouse. One would assume that it covers other county-owned properties as well. So we enacted that, just over a year ago?
makes our videos not public record.
Right.
Because
Right.
Yeah.
it was one of the things, but just some
Right.
other things that are confidential.
Okay, we've had some discussion, I've heard some thought about authorizing it today, and we have the option of thinking about it a while. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd move forward with it, make a motion to do so, unless you all see there's a need to
Then I would second that.
do more due diligence, but I'm okay with it. I mean,
Problem with it?
it's reimbursable to us, and
I have no problem with it at all.
Okay, was that a motion, Mark?
Yeah, I'll so
Second,
make
because
a
you got a
motion to go
second,
ahead.
I was just making sure it was a real motion.
Right.
And
How do you want to, just before we finalize it, it's entirely your call with that chime, but I would agree with these guys' statements that I think for $300,
That
I
was a good
think the
point.
chime would
I
be
appreciate that.
really worthwhile.
Okay.
So.
We'll
if-
move
if-
forward with everything but the card access, which is just a duplication of what we've already got.
Yeah, I think that chime, you might be glad you had that.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I'll go ahead and
Thank you.
finalize that motion, and you second it.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to authorize DHS to use our funding to fund the camera system, wired panic buttons, and additional keypad and door contacts for the chime.
Thank you. Anything
Let's
that
vote.
you need from me?
It's been moved and
Sorry.
seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, then let's go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Here we go. Motion
Anything
passed.
additional you need from me? Any questions? I see you had some office space items on your agenda.
Yeah,
Any
we are
issues about
looking
NCOs?
for a tenant.
Oh,
And, yeah, certainly no indicator to the tenants that are upstairs that are keeping us from filling it. It's just, there's a lot of commercial space available in Carroll, and I think we're just having difficulty in that. We've had a couple of lookers, but
good.
no takers.
That's good. We'd like to see somebody else in the building.
I'm sure you
I
would.
wish we could fill it with state employees, but that's not likely in the near future.
And it looks like we're gonna keep, the other half of Suite B full, so
Good.
case management is moving ahead forward, so.
Good. That's good to know.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks,
too,
Carol.
Carol.
Have a
Have a
good
good week.
Thank you, Carol. Okay. We're gonna move back up to number 4 and kind of go down in sequence on our agenda if we can. Number 4 is a resolution, it's a Stepping Up initiative. And what this resolution is, the Stepping Up initiative, is to reduce the number of people with mental illness in jails. And it's got a lot of whereases, but the important ones is that without appropriate treatment services, people with mental illness continue to cycle through the justice system. And they're trying to safely reduce the number of people with mental illness in jails. And this is something that got brought up at Rolling Hills, and they wanted every county to approve it, and every county, I believe, but us has approved it. I should have been brought to our agenda earlier. I did find an email that was sent to us, and I thought it was also sent to our auditor, but it was not. So she brought it to our attention, and I was going to ask our board to approve this, or if you had any reservations about it, we could discuss them now. I'm in favor of approving it. All the other counties in Rolling Hills have approved it to this point.
I have no problems with it and support it. I know ISAC's had quite a little bit of legwork done on this too,
I
so.
think NACO's also.
NACO has too.
So, yeah, I would support it.
I'd make a motion to approve resolution 2016-005.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved to approve resolution number 2016-005, which is resolution in support of the Stepping Up initiative. It's, we'll ask for the roll call vote.
Bach.
Yes.
Beardmore.
Yes.
Shetler.
Yes.
Miners.
Yes.
Dancer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
One for Stanford.
How many evenings did you spend looking up that easement from 1960?
I took it home and looked at it. It's too hard to find stuff, time to do it during the day, so
God bless you for doing that. That's
I didn't learn anything either.
time consuming.
Yeah. I just hated to do it if it hurt.
Okay, let's move to item number 7, which is Frankie Building office space discussion. Mark asked to have that added to the.
Yeah, I was just called last week by Brandon Snyder, who was the former agent representing the current agency, that it had expired on March 15th, and wanted to know if we had plans to move forward with it. Well, what was interesting is I saw it was still advertised in Friday's paper.
Yeah, saw that
So,
too.
I visited with, I went to Remax and talked to Janelle Lenz about it, and she's got an expiration in mid-April for that.
That's kind of what I was wondering too, because
She has got it expiring in April 15th.
I don't know, maybe
think
something
she
I
said.
missed something or not, but if it doesn't expire, then we don't need to do anything.
Okay.
But it was
Yeah.
my understanding, he said it was expired, so.
Yeah, and Brandon had formerly worked for that agency, is now with a different agency. I think things are getting a little bit competitive, and maybe he wants it from now on. And this agency that has it would be glad to keep it, she said, so.
Well, I'm fine with leaving it alone, but, we'd have to readdress it again come April 15th.
Okay, and she made it quite clear they would be able to do it at the same rate, or maybe less, was the comment, so.
What is the current rate that we're set at for renting that for office?
I think they are getting 1 month's rent,
Believe
if they
so.
get it rented out.
Yep.
So if they rent it for,
But I'm just saying, if we're renting it out, what are we asking for?
For the rent?
Yeah, for the rent.
I don't think there's anything set in stone, is there?
no, I told her, I think it was around $10 a square foot or something, I don't remember, but she understands that there's a lot of flexibility there, and of course, if you get a tenant that just wants it for a few months, I don't think we'd budge much. If you had a good long-term tenant, I think we'd negotiate.
A lot, yeah.
Absolutely, so it's not set in stone, Marty.
I don't know, it's been brought to my attention, maybe reduce the rate to get it, so we do get it, to move it to, so there's somebody in it.
They understand that we entertain any offer, I think, from our discussion.
Just
with
getting
her.
that first taker, though, is probably the
Yeah,
issue, yeah.
could be. Well, if there's anything like that that we would like to change, Marty, it'd be the time to do it, is when we negotiate it,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that was just a point of information that it brought it to our attention, and we wanted to address it to the entire board. Anything else on that issue
No,
there?
no.
No action on that at this time. Okay, number 8 is the conservation rural water easement, which is in our packet. Apparently, it's west central, going to the trail or something, is that the deal?
That's the way it looks, yeah.
Yeah, if you look at that map, there'd be kind of a line, I tried to draw, he had a pencil, you see, right?
Yep.
Here.
Right here.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
they're.
that's where the trail runs, crosses it right here. So,
So they're putting a new line in there that, they want to cross that?
as I understand, they want to bore underneath it, yeah.
New line in.
New line in. I'm not even sure there's an existing line there, so, yeah, but putting a new line in there.
Okay. All right, and then, as I read through this, they've listed what the crop damage, et cetera, would be, and how wide and everything else it would be. Is there any concerns about this easement, any discussion on it? Any motions to approve it or whatever?
So moved.
Second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved second, approve the conservation rural water easement with West Central Iowa Rural Water Association. Any further discussion, any discussion on that motion? Okay, then we'll vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried.
I just need Neil's signature on the bottom there.
Okay, next is a courthouse concrete work discussion.
Over here.
Ball's right down there.
I just happened to be thinking about it the other day, and maybe it's time to start going after that deal again.
Okay.
So,
All right, Dean asked to have that added to the agenda, and I think it's worthy discussion. Nothing has happened, and our previous contractor didn't perform, is that correct? Would that be a fair
I
statement?
guess
Yeah, supposedly K&B was the last contractor, and I don't know.
So,
Has anybody heard a reason why he didn't do it, or?
Or has anybody had any dialogue with them? I mean, now that it's spring,
what's the pleasure of the board? We could either contact them and say, hey, we had a contract, let's go for it. If we're happy with the price, that might be the item we want. Otherwise, or has it expired, or?
I don't know.
I don't-
we
you know,
didn't
see,
put
it's
it,
not
we
a-
didn't put a date on it, and that's
yeah,
why.
that's why I think something has to be done that way. I think you have to have a formal bid. If they're willing to do it for what they,
Yeah, I'd say approach them first.
yeah.
I
And then
think
if
yeah.
if
Are
he's
you
not
going to-
interested, we'll just rebid it.
If
Be
they're
done.
not interested in doing it, but set a time on it.
Right.
Yeah.
To get it completed,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Okay, what's our timeline?
And,
As long as he's at it?
Yeah, as long as he's had it, I'd say make it May 1st.
yeah.
Gives them all April.
Yeah.
If not, let's move forward.
Yep.
May 1st of 2016, by the way.
Okay, all right.
Contractors,
Let's, we can do that then. Is there anyone here who wants to contact them, or did you want me to do it, or someone else?
Was Zach the
Zach do it.
yeah,
Zach
he was the contact person the last
Sure.
time, I think, on it, and just let him know what our
All right, Courtney,
requirements are.
tell Zach what we decided to.
And,
So
and.
the date deadline, you better be getting a hold of it quick.
Yeah.
And, if he has to keep leaving voicemails, leave.
I think that's what the problem was.
Yep,
Okay.
leave 2 voicemails, and if they haven't responded back, then
So be it.
so be it.
Okay.
And should we have a deadline as to when that's
Get an
gonna
answer?
happen? Yeah.
No,
Well, if he doesn't, a month from now, if we got the same problem, then.
Zach, he'll call him this week.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I know he left a message and he didn't hear back.
Right,
Yeah.
He did or did not?
Did not, that's
not.
what the problem was. is
Yeah.
nobody got back to us.
he did leave a voice message, but did not hear back.
If that's the case, by this time next week, let's go on and rebid it.
Sounds good.
I'll
Yeah.
update you guys.
Yeah.
And then Courtney will update us next meeting, and we'll be moving forward.
Okay.
All right, anything else on that? Okay, manure managements, we got 4 of them. HR Partnership, Betty Finisher, Section 5, Region Township. They have made changes in crop rotation and manure analysis. TNT Operations LLC, East Finisher Farm, Section 5, East, same story there. They've changed crop rotation and manure, using manure analysis. Dave Weller, Section 35, Hayes Township, Crawford, has no changes. Jim Halbert, Section 18, Roselle Township, added acres and changed crop rotation. That's our manure management. Okay, let's do committee reports. Mark, you want to start us out?
Sure. Short week. Monday attended Doug's going away party. Very well done and nice to see so many people attended. Wednesday, Neil and I attended the Coalition of Human Services meeting, of which the domestic and sexual assault people had the program there. That was the most full I've ever seen that room. Neil and I have been going to that since I was in office, and they really appreciate our attendance there. They had some very nice things to say about us. Again, very reassuring and supportive, and just it gives us a good feel. We fund a lot of these agencies, and so we get a good feel for exactly what services they're employing, and nice to be a part of that.
Yes, it is.
And then Saturday, attended the legislative forum, as some of the rest of you did, and up in Breda. No real news yet on the mental health levy yet, so that was my week. You want to know upcoming week?
Sure.
I think it's a short one again. Tonight I've got Carroll Area Child Care Center Board, and that's it for scheduled program this week.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Dean?
Okay, Board of Health meeting on Tuesday was canceled because lack of a quorum, and we have the same issue again this week. So hopefully, it's basically set up for tomorrow, but I'll find out today whether that's gonna happen. I went to the Cornerstone Construction site visit, which was kind of on the spur of the moment type of deal,
Yeah.
and I was
Thanks for
able.
going.
Yeah, I was able to slip out there. I had some time, so I slipped out there. And all they're basically going to do, as it appears, that's probably a sow unit. And so they're going to add 157 head. And they don't have to make any changes. Wendy was out there, and I met her, and she informed me of, when they do this, they go around and look at the whole site to make sure that there hasn't been any more construction. So it was a good visit for me, but they are adding 157 55-pound pigs, growing them up. There's actually 40 crates that are not being used today, and they're going to start using those. So that was the site visit. While I was out there, I got a chance to look at the dredge along the county line there, and I saw a lot of water standing in it. Or, I didn't know if this was water that was moving or whatever. And when I left, there was a gentleman there he was from Bolton Mink Engineering, and he's the engineering firm that was going to do the work there. And I had a pretty lengthy discussion, with him about that project, but that water just sits. So it's there all the time, it does not move. So that's really basically the issue, is getting that water to move through that dredge, or that ditch. He said there's a lot of beaver action up in that they're gonna be taking care of. So it was an interesting stop for me, just to get some updates on that. And since the Fricky building was on the agenda, I went over and visited. Had never been in the building before, so I took a tour of that. There was on Monday, Dan Kraus got a hold of me, and he has an issue north of Maple River, and this has been kind of an ongoing situation. They burnt the ditch off, and Dave went out Dave and I went out and looked at that, and the water does not run. It runs down through the ditch, and then I think it basically is dirt that was there from construction that now leaves the ditch and goes into their property. And so, but the real big concern is how that water never used to come down that ditch from a mile up. So it's a real difficult call to be able to go out there, and it's just going to take more attention in the future, probably when we have a huge rain, to see actually how that water acts when it comes down there. Last year we had we had 2 big rains, and it became an issue. So it's just going to take further investigation. Went to the legislative forum. I was glad to see Adam Schwerz get voted for president of the Highway 30 Coalition. I think that's a good thing for this area, and we'll see how that plays out in the future. But that was my week. This week, I guess we're going to try to have another Board of Health meeting, but that's basically all I have for coming up this week.
Who's not showing? Hospital?
Well, it was, this week it's Anissa, and they don't return emails is one of the problems. So Megan doesn't know who's showing. Art's father passed away, so that was, an issue last week, and I don't know if that's carrying into this week or not, but those 3. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can get something going tomorrow night.
And you guys are now meeting quarterly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a monthly obligation?
No.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dean.
You bet.
Gene, go ahead.
Monday, I went to Doug's retirement. I agree with Mark, there was a lot of people there, it was very well done. And then on Wednesday, Dave and I met with Ben Puck down at PCI, and we had talked about that, and I think that's a very well worth project to look at. And then on Thursday, I did not get to that cornerstone. I had talked to Neil, and I had a bug hit me, so I didn't go anywhere. And then on Thursday, I did get a hold of Mike Silva, and I talked to Neil about in regard to that mental health thing, and talked to him on Farm Bureau, not stepping away of that mental health issue. And
To follow up on that, Gene, I talked to him up at Breed It Through at the Legislative Forum.
first comments I had was it was not looked very favorable, but I think as I talked to him, he was a little more open, but I think they're very strong-willed though.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna stay there. But anyway, and then on Friday, I had the Yes Center board meeting, and everything's going good up there. I was on the audit committee a half hour before. Currently, they averaged 8.21 last month, with only one of those being a BIA. They were at 9 Friday, and that could have been counted as 10 because they had one going in, one coming out. And, but they've been very busy up there. We didn't show any profit this month, but it was because the receivables are up at $73,000, because we have a lot of this time we get the check back to BIA, and they're gonna up the contract again. One of the things now with this, doing this mental health transports, they probably gotta become an MCO provider, so they gotta start working on that. Can't even read my own writing what that was down there. But anyway, that was basically, and then we did tentatively look at the budget for next year. We've got a few things that we don't know where we're at until this next month. So we did a tentative budget, and actually this looks like a good budget. We have revenues of $758,550, with expenditures of $643,000. This, with that BIA and get rid of that case or tractor program, things have really looked good up there. I mean, we're sitting better than we have for a long time. And they did get another car, a 2007, with only 35,000 miles from Clay County.
Whoa.
No cost. So they have been transporting, so things have been very good up there. But the receivables are high, but otherwise things are really going good. And then Saturday, I didn't get the legislative forum because I had tax appointment that morning. And then this week, tomorrow I have CADC at noon, and then after CADC I have our first Access Washington discussion. So if anybody's got any topics that you think we should talk about, let me know. And I don't have anything else the rest of the week, it looks like. That will change though.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Marty?
Okay. Last Monday night, our Wesco board meeting got canceled too. We couldn't get the forum together, so we're doing that this evening. And then on Thursday, had a Region 12 meeting, and Carla Janning kind of gave us an update on some of the housing activities that are going on. Now this past that around, this is some of the stuff that's going on in the surrounding counties. This is what was spent in 2015 on housing projects in each one of the counties. Just kind of give us an update on that. And then after that meeting, we had the executive board meeting, and the first item on the agenda there was a 2016 through 2019 transportation improvement program. And I'll just put an asterisk, I'll just pass this around. It's regarding the street project over in Denison. There was an amendment to that, so we just basically discussed that. The executive director's report. Rick Hunziker gave that. He talked about their health insurance renewal. That's coming up in October, so they're putting things together for their health insurance. They're working with the city of Audubon on a TIF district for a new truck stop on the south edge of Audubon. And so they're working with the city of Audubon on that. They're looking for new office staff. They're looking for a part-time fiscal clerk, and they're gonna put out application for that. And then on the local assistance, Rick also gave that. Chris was at another meeting that day. He talked about the housing preservation grant. There's a $23,000 grant that for rehabilitating housing for occupied by very low-income persons living in Audubon, Carroll, Crawford, Greene, and Sac counties. They're also talking about a planning intern for the summer. They're gonna try and hire someone there. They also talked about the regional STP applications. They've got stakeholder meetings coming up. The one in Carroll County is gonna be March 28th at Region 12. March 28th in Guthrie County at the courthouse. March 29th at Crawford County at the Denison City Hall. Sac County is gonna be March 29th also at the Sac County Conservation Center. Audubon Counties is at March 30th at ACED, and then Greene County is March 31st at the courthouse. So these are all meetings set up for that. Then after that, Tom Feldman gave a update on the transit. They just approved or purchased a new MV1. It was bought from Deary Brothers in Des Moines to replace the one that we had, it was wrecked here about a month ago. They purchased a brand new MV1 and it came out of Louisiana for $34,000. The retail price is originally $52,000. They also talked about, we've got the contracts for the replacement of 2 minivans with high miles. They're looking at trying to replace those with the MV1s also. 3 drivers have been hired. Richard Hernandez of Jefferson and Ken Madsen of Grand Junction are taking over in Greene County. And then Ricky Martin of Manila has been hired to serve Southern Carroll County and Crawford County. They talked a little bit about the Medicaid modernization, and they're scheduled to start up with that on April 1st. He also talked about the Monogram Foods, the job jet buses that they had over in Denison. They've got 2 of those going, and they're hauling people from Harlan to Denison to work at the Monogram Foods. And they're started last Monday with one, and the second fleet they're looking at starting up this next week to fill the night shift. It's kind of interesting. There's about 200 people from Denison going back and forth on that bus system. And then Beth gave us a update on the workforce director's report. They talked a little bit about the career days that are coming up. They're working with the sophomores at the local high schools, and then they're also working with the Carroll Learning Center and working with 5 business sectors to work on the career days. She talked a little bit about the transition center over in Denison with Tyson Foods. They're still working with getting those employees transitioned over to other jobs. So that was pretty much it for Region 12. And then on Friday, went on tour. Dave and I were going to meet with Steve Michelson on the railroad bridge issue, and he canceled out. He had some other things come up, so he couldn't do that. So we actually went down and looked at a couple other issues down there. We had some road ditch cleanings down southeast of Dedham. We went and looked at those. And then also, while we were down there, we went and the city of Dedham has approached us. As you recall, last year we worked with them on the concession stand by the ball field. They wanted to put some playground equipment in, and so we're gonna have John Worden kind of look at this. What it is, I'll pass this map around. This dotted line that I've got drawn here, this propane tank was moved over to the east side of the building.
yeah.
What they want to do is put some playground equipment over to the east of where or to the north of where the shelter house is there. And the concern Dave and I have is the liability issue, so we're gonna work with John Worden on that and see if we can get something drawn up. Basically, the secondary roads owns all of this property, that the part of the concession stand is on, and then the parking lot and all this is owned by the county. We don't use it, and we wanna kind of partner with the city of Dedham so they can move forward with putting playground equipment in there, but we just wanna cover the liability issue if something happens to one of the kids. The biggest reason for the fence is because of the traffic on that parking lot with people going in and out of the ball field, so they kinda wanna fence that off to keep the kids out of the traffic. So that was pretty much my week. For this week, I've got Wesco board meeting tonight, and we're gonna try and line up something with Steve Michelson again this week and get that squared away on the railroad bridge. So that's my week.
Why does the county own that?
Part with the county shed, this is the county shed right here.
Oh, there, okay, I see, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Marty.
You bet.
All right, Monday, went to Doug's retirement thing, as many of you did, had a good time there. Also spent a lot of time on the phone with the Department of Revenue concerning the assessor's situation there with the deputy thing becoming null and void. That was quite an issue, but we got that worked out. And also visited with, I think on Tuesday, with Courtney and Cindy on that as well. Wednesday had the Carroll County Coalition meeting. I think Mark covered that pretty well. Bobby Moran and Julie Gore pretty much explained how the CASA, Centers Against Abuse and Sexual Assault, works and what they do. Also on Wednesday had the local planning meeting, and that has to do a lot with the Communities for Children decategorization. But one of the things, discussion items, community needs, and it seems there's a lot of request for support for mom support groups, and we discussed ways of perhaps integrating something like that in with the library or the recreation center, who's doing some of those, but had a real good discussion on those items there. It was supposed to be a real short week, but it got pretty darn busy. On Thursday, met with RSVP concerning their Pen Pals program. I'm now going to be the Pen Pal for a third grader, so I'll keep them up to date on all our supervisor activities here. Also, worked with Gene and with the our legislative efforts with Farm Bureau concerning the mental health funding, and I'd sent emails out to Mike Sybil and all the other officers in Carroll County. And also, as you did, visited with Mike on Saturday at the legislative forum. So he says, I got your email. I've talked to Dean, I've talked to Gene. I know what you want, Neil. But pretty much got the same answer from him as what you did. He had the same story for everybody,
Sure.
I guess. Then also I sent a letter to Mike Curtis informing the examining board that the list of people who passed the test that was taken on last Thursday for the to be an assessor should be available sometime today, and they'll take it from there. Also did the county farm fence line visit, which I've already visited about. Saturday had the legislative forum, and the one thing on the Highway 30 legislative forum, I thought there were some good points made on Highway 30. One is that another option is to 6-lane Interstate 80, but if there'd ever be an accident or something, the bypass would be 30. And another issue is that if 30 was fixed up, it would relieve some of the traffic on Interstate 80.
Absolutely.
And the third thing is, it's a pretty political thing, because whether 30 gets fixed up or 80 gets fixed up, it's just gonna be a judgment, or we're gonna support rural or urban, development. So I thought that was pretty good. Also, last week I talked about this letter we'd gotten from the person who's on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And Courtney also mentioned that there's a couple of appointments that Doug Bass has. Carroll City County Communications Commission, he is on there. And the Iowa Mutual Aid Compact, we have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary contact person. He is the tertiary. So what I'd suggest we do, one is find a new member for our Planning and Zoning Commission, and that's within the 2-mile district. And Tom Simons would like to step down for the time being anyhow. And also with these 2 appointments that Doug Bass has, we should probably take some action on those and probably do it all at one time, or, I mean, so, I guess I'll start with this one. Is there someone who'd like to, that's in Tom's or got area in the 2-mile district that would like to find a replacement for the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is in the 2-mile limit? Is there someone who wants to work on that? Just gotta be somebody within the 2-mile limit of Carroll on this particular appointment.
Doesn't have to live in a particular area.
District or anything?
They have to kind of live just on the edge of Carroll, basically.
On the edge of Carroll.
Within 2 miles of Carroll, within that limit, I think. So, why don't we all just think about that?
Yeah, let's
I'll bring it
think
up.
about
I'll bring it
that.
up next meeting, maybe.
Would, would Tom have a suggestion, perhaps?
Maybe. Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
Yeah, maybe that's something we all can work at.
And then, part of these other two, where Doug Bass was the City-County Communications Commission and the tertiary for the Iowa Mutual Aid Compact. Let's talk about that next meeting too, and I would suggest our sheriff actually, but.
I would suggest that we do similar to what we did with the E911, is you
Related to
make
the
it
sheriff
the
position
sheriff
as well.
and, or the sheriff designee.
Okay. All right. Why don't we put that on our agenda for discussion next week, and we can probably plan on doing that with these two appointments, and then see if anybody's had any ideas on the planning and zoning at that time. So we'll put that on the agenda. And then, that's it. You've got the radio this week, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you want to talk about insurance at all, Mark?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
No, not quite yet. But Benji went to, I do have a question. The housing study. We are facing April 1st here, day after tomorrow, and I've chimed about this. You know, I wasn't very pleased that we did, I didn't support this thing to begin with.
I don't think
I
even-
saw this thing coming, where it's just gonna get dragged, and have we paid for it? That's a great question.
I don't think you have, not all of it.
That'd be one question I would ask, is if it's been paid for. And second of all, I mean, all we talked about was the timeliness of this. This thing's gonna be outdated by the time we get it.
I hit,
Does anybody else feel this way, or am I
I
the
hit,
lone ranger here?
I hit Doug Burns on that, after the legislative forum, and I said, what's going on with this housing study? We're waiting forever, and he says, well, it's a good point.
Actually, and I know that I've had some discussion with Shannon. I've got some rough copies, you probably have too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And Shannon's kind of been upset too. So it's not just you. So.
But what are we gonna
I was
do
told
about
we
it?
were-
I
I was
mean-
told that we were gonna have a meeting here before too long on it, and I have not heard.
Yeah, we're gonna be into April here.
And I will see her tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll-
I mean, does Shannon need some, executive support in this, or what? I mean,
That had been brought up at our March 7th meeting, and I sent them an email, and Shannon got back to me, and so did the gal doing it. She had been in Texas, but now ours is gonna be a top priority, but yeah, it's been quite a while ago. And since then, we did get just some, little bit of information that's gonna be used in the study, but it wasn't any,
It's not final draft.
it wasn't the final draft, it was just information they were gonna use on it, so, yeah, it's going like molasses in December. It's very slow.
all I urge is that we all
I will
have
visit with her again.
good memories on this, that, and the next time we get asked to fund public dollars with something, we should have a little better expectations than what we're receiving.
Okay.
Going back to, you were talking about with Farm Bureau.
Yes.
You know, Mike told me about that, first thing he was very definitely against it was because of the policy. So I did follow up with Bill Heckroth about this
Mhm.
policy they have. And he said that's not the first time that he's heard it, so.
The last we heard from Bill Heckroth said that Farm Bureau had not registered at
Right.
all on that. And if
And
they
he's-
don't, that's to our advantage.
Yeah.
And if they do register, we certainly want them to have either for or undecided. But if they register against, they're definitely even the largest, most powerful lobbying group in the State House.
And the reason I followed up, because Mike kept pounding that policy, thoughts, let Bill, and he said, yeah, he's heard that comment before, so. And then also on the Cornerstone, I found out, being I didn't go out, I talked to Wendy Whitrock, and I just thought of this. They actually did the D&D Clucky the day before, so that one we're not even gonna hear about.
Yeah.
And that was another numbers
Hmm.
increase.
You know, they had a 2-day biosecurity thing on that. Did you
That was
find-
out of Cornerstone,
What was
yeah.
that about?
That is that they didn't want anybody to come on or that's been on a hog lot for 2 days.
2 days, okay.
I emailed you when they gave me the date for the
Yeah.
D&D Clucky one.
Yeah, I think I got an email on that one.
I didn't get one on D&D, I got one on the Cornerstone.
You should have gotten it, because I sent it to.
One was on Wednesday. Is that the one that was on Wednesday?
I
At
don't
11
remember
a.m.?
what day it was. I just remember
Well,
when
one
I
was-
got it, I sent them both off. And I knew the Cornerstone one, I got it like the day before the
Yeah.
thing.
I kind of think on these that are existing sites, for future reference, I think we need to approach it different for another year. As far as going out to see those, why?
It's an option.
I think it's, I guess I just feel like if someone's, I agree, we don't have, that's not so,
Yeah.
that we have to be there, but I think it's good to keep the communications open and still have, if somebody's available, go out.
Yeah, I thought the opportunity was for me to go out there, and personally, it's for me to be educated in the process, you know.
Like on the
So-
one where they weren't gonna change anything, just add more livestock, I wasn't too interested in going out there, because there wouldn't be anything different to see, but on
Yeah.
some of the others, there may be an interest, and it's optional.
What
Oh,
I.
I'm saying on the news site, I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything.
You know,
on the news
what I-
site.
what I did-
Just when they had 157 hogs, that's just.
Yeah, what I did, the information that I did get out of there, that it was, there were some issues about feed and that Wendy was hitting the manager about, you know, that needs to be cleaned up. And so I was impressed by that. I mean, you know, they've got to still follow the rules, you know, and so I thought that was a good, good for me to hear, so.
Okay. I'll finish my committee reports now, and that's the rest of my committee reports, but coming up this week, Wednesday, I have Rolling Hills, and Thursday, Second Judicial District. But one thing I want to bring up, and it plays into what you're talking about, Marty, that's why I interrupted. Earlier, we talked about having a little planning, the idea in a planning session, and we said, well, let's wait till after budget. We're there now. So I'd like to have county planning discussion on the agenda. When it was brought up last time, there were a lot of really good suggestions, and I wrote them all down. So let's think about, because that's been a few months ago, and something like this, Marty, is something that maybe we can talk about as far as future
Sure.
planning.
Yeah.
The housing thing, how we're not happy with the results in that, but it's a wide open thing, and I think it's a good idea for us to do some looking ahead planning. There were a lot of good suggestions, and I have them all written down, and what I plan on doing is kind of typing them out, so we can say, well, here's what we talked about, what else is new, and go from there. So let's plan on bringing ideas forward-looking ideas for the county at our next meeting, because we're through the budget. And that played right into what you're talking about, Marty, maybe something there. Okay. That's it for me.
Excuse me.
Courtney, what do you have?
I just have a couple things. I had a request from a person involved with organ donation, and she was requesting that the Board of Supervisors do a proclamation for Donor Awareness Month. And I couldn't find where Carroll County had ever done that in the past. She gave me a copy of one Crawford County did back in 2014. So I told her I'd bring it to your attention, and you guys can let me know if that's something. Looks to me like that proclamation that Greene County did is ongoing every year. That month is Organ Donation Awareness Month. The other thing I had was ICAP is offering, and you guys might have heard of this at school.
$1,000.
That $1,000.
Yeah.
And what I'd like, and we can put this on as an agenda item later, but Zach brought it to my attention that we have a panel that we use for our panic buttons in the courthouse, and it needs to be upgraded because we've added keypads, but we've also added all those fobs upstairs, so it's kind of overloaded. So we need to update that panel, and the cost of that is about the bid was $1,970. Now, we do have money in the courthouse maintenance budget to do that this year, so I would like to try to, and Terry thought that would be something that would qualify. I'd like to use that $1,000 to offset that, unless there's something else that you'd like to use $1,000.
I think the discussion that we had at the time when Terry brought it to our attention down there was to give it over to the safety committee. And then you guys decide what you would like to do with it.
The safety meeting hasn't met in a while, and I also, one other thing I did is left a message with Zach, said, hey, Zach, we need to have another safety meeting, and talked to Courtney about it, and I haven't heard back. Have you, Courtney, visit with Zach about that or not?
No, but he did say that he got the message, because
Okay.
he came and asked me. The only concern I have with that is the safety committee's budget is very small, and I don't know that they'd have $1,000 to spend, and you have to spend it before you get it back, so.
But I mean, it was a recommendation, wasn't it, Gene, that we
Yeah.
kinda talked about?
Well, he said
As-
anything that was involved with safety.
Yeah.
I just, it'd be great to buy, I think most of our workers have the neon coats and that type of stuff, but since this is something we have to do anyway.
I think it's a great idea.
But
Yeah.
if you
It's
wanna
purposeful and-
bring it up, I think we have until end of June, I think.
And it's shovel ready.
Yeah, I think we have until the end of June, so if the safety committee wants to talk about it, and if they have issue with, because I don't care, but anyway, that's just one thing I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring this up, if you guys want to think about that.
Give that to Zach and tell him it should be on our next safety committee meeting agenda.
Okay.
It'd be a little encouragement to have another.
Okay. And I just wanted to make you aware, I got notice of a request for a special election on May 3rd down in Manning. They're gonna have a hotel motel tax question, so that's May 3rd. So we'll be.
As far as that resolution, I would get one prepared, we can do that next meeting, put on the agenda.
I'm okay, I looked it over.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, yep. Not a
Would you
problem.
want it to read each year? Because this one says proclaims this month of July each year as Greene County Donor Awareness Month.
As long as we don't have to keep doing the resolution each year. I mean, it's just more of a housekeeping item for you.
I would think so too. I would think that you wouldn't need to. They
Right.
didn't-
Let's just do the one, and so it would say this year, so we wouldn't have to keep doing it.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Courtney for doing this for me.
I just printed it off. It wasn't a big deal.
But you had to initiate it though, right?
I was just on there doing the survey because I get an email and then I put our information in there. And since it was,
It was a survey? Is that what it was?
it's an ISAC survey, and they'll request me to do the survey along with all the other counties. So I just printed it off after I got done.
Okay.
I think you can go on and do that on your eyesight.
Yeah, and this one happened to do with the ambulance services throughout the state.
And
So-
Madison counties is quite comical, if you get a chance to read that.
All right. Anything else from the board? Any comments or questions from those in attendance?
Yeah, I got a couple quick things. I must have stepped out to ask Ken a question. The ordinance 40, is that just the ordinance that will standardize bridge construction standards that we pretty much already follow? But I just want to make sure that's what that
Yes.
is.
It's basically brought into place, so if we do have an issue with FEMA,
Mhm.
then there's standards set.
Yep, I remember that discussion. I
Okay.
just wanted to double check that's what it was since I wasn't here. And then the concrete work, that's just minor fixing of
Down by the door here, we got a drainage issue.
a drainage issue down there.
It's coming into the basement there.
Okay, and then, I was gonna ask Carroll this, I was gonna ask her, she left and I forgot, but did she lose staff because of budget cuts, so she can't replace them, is that, you guys know? what-
I assumed that's what it was. It's
I don't think it
dangerous
makes
to
sense
assume, but.
Right, I'll ask her if it comes up.
Yeah.
I got a couple other little things for each of you, but nothing for the board.
Okay. All right. That concludes the meeting. Is there a motion?
Make
to
a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. It's non-debatable. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We're adjourned.